Borough Council to order. Everyone please rise for a pledge of allegiance and moment of silence for the armed services.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Brenda, may I please have roll call?
Counselor Barry,
Here.
Counselor Catalani,
Here.
Counselor Garber,
Here.
Counselor Miller, Counselor Caroli. Here. Counselor Touche,
Here.
Counselor Shear,
Here.
Mayor Carpenter.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Just a reminder to please silence all cellular devices during the meeting. Thank you. And we have special visitors tonight. Scott Henry and Brian Marchuk from Brown, Schultz, Sheridan, and Fritz are present to discuss the 2022 audit.
Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Henry. I was the manager on the engagement. As you said, Brian Marchuk is with me. He's the principal on the engagement. I'm going to go through, you should have the audit presentation in here. It's actually going to look a little different than we have in the past where we went through all the financial statements. It's more of a condensed version and just the highlights along the way.
Thank you.
So I first wanted to say thank you to Brenda, Roger, Chris, and Stacy for all their hard work. Audits are never easy, and we just really appreciate all their time and dedication to making this as smooth as possible. I'm going to flip the page. It should say page 2 at the bottom and maybe the 4th page in there. This goes over the scope of our work and then also our audit opinion. We were engaged to prepare an audit of the financial statements for December 31st, 2022. An audit is, we don't tie down to the penny, but we do it on a materiality basis. We do testing on the riskier areas, some analytics along the way, but just explaining it doesn't tie to the penny. That being said, we were able to issue an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion that we can give, and essentially says that your financial statements are materially correct and in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. It's the best opinion that we can give, and it was the same opinion that we gave last year. Flipping then to page 3, and please stop me if anyone has any questions along the way. This is your statement of net position. This is on the government-wide financial statements, and it's on the full accrual basis of accounting. So as you can see here, it includes your long-term items, your capital assets, and then your non-current liabilities, which is your long-term debt. A few things to look at. It was about 15.7% and about 13.7% from 2022 and 2021 for your current assets as a percentage of total assets. The reason that we look at that is when you add in the capital assets, also your pension asset in there, we like to see a strong, healthy current assets as well. That's mainly your cash. So you stayed pretty consistent. It's actually increased from last year, and it's pretty good percentage. Also, if you can see, there's an increase in your non-current assets, your deferred inflows of resources, and then your deferred outflows of resources decreased. This is all related to your pension. Your pension is valued as of 12/31/2021 because PMRS is a year behind. If you're going to remember, at that time we did have very good gains on our assets at that point, and that's where you're seeing it right now. I'll get into those numbers a little bit later, but you can see the effects on the financial statements as of 12/31/2022 on this sheet. And then also you can see an increase in net position in your governmental activities of about $900,000 and about a break even for your business type activities during 2022. If we flip to page 4 there, this is your statement of activities, also known as the income statement. Again, full accrual basis of accounting. So it recognizes revenues as you earn them and expenditures as you incur them. You'll see that governmental activities revenues increase about $500,000, primarily due to the new fire protection tax, and then also due to better returns on EIT, earned income tax, and then real estate transfer taxes. And then your expenses decrease about $66,000 in comparison to the prior year. So overall, a good year, about $900,000 increase in governmental activities. Your business type activities, on the other hand, the revenues increased pretty significantly. You'll see about $500,000. If you remember from 2021, we cleaned up the capital asset work paper. So you can see there that we actually had a loss of about $500,000 on capital assets. This is just a book loss, and as you can see here in 2022, we did not have the same, and it correlated to a change in net position of about $8,000 for the business type activities for 2022. So both good, healthy, strong net positions for both funds. Flipping to page 5 then, this is your balance sheet. This is on the governmental funds, and this is on the modified accrual basis of accounting. So here you can see that there's no capital assets, no long-term debt items. What I want to point out is the bottom is your fund balance of about $2.5 million. This is made up of 5 areas. It's your non-spendable, which is just your prepaid items. You have some restrictions of about $66,000. This is related to highways, library, and fire protection. You have your committed for about $350,000, which is your employee benefits. And then you have a assigned fund balance of about $1.2 million. This is for future capital projects and then the police healthcare, leaving an unassigned fund balance of about $760,000 at the end of the year, about 30% of total fund balance. So a very strong, healthy fund balance at the end of the year. If you then flip to the next page, this is your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance, also known as an income statement. Again, modified accrual basis of accounting. Revenue is recorded as it's measurable and available, and expenditures are recorded as they are incurred. You'll see here that general fund revenues increased about $24,000 from the prior year, and that was actually up from your budget about $400,000, primarily due to changes in earned income taxes as residents get back to work after the pandemic, and then real estate transfer taxes. Your general fund expenditures decreased about $200,000 from the prior year and was under budget by about $500,000. This is primarily because we transferred all of the fire protection expenditures to its own fund as you issued the new tax on that. So that did decrease your public safety. And then your public works also decreased a little bit just due to a little bit less road construction during the year. If you flip to page 7, that kind of highlights what I just said there. Just pointing at the bottom there, your general fund expenditure metrics, just in comparison to the prior year. As stated, public safety decreased about 5%, again, just moving those expenditures to its own fund. And then public works decreased about 2% just because of just road requirements from year to year. If you flip to the next page 8, just highlighting a few notes in the financial statements. Capital assets, you had purchases of about $900,000 during the year, mainly due to 2 vehicles, road work, and then pump replacements. This is then offset by depreciation of about $1.9 million. So if you would actually look at the financial statements themselves, capital assets are recorded at book cost less depreciation over the use of those assets. It's not the fair value if you would look at that. Your long-term debt, you had 2 long-term items at the end of the year. You had your 2018 bonds, which is about $5,800,000, and then you have your due to other governments. That's just the debt with North Londonderry that you guys share, and your portion of that debt, which is about $5.6 million. Both of them just had normal principal payments made during the year. Your pension plans, as I mentioned, a very good year. Again, year behind. Sorry about that. 2021. Saw very good gains on those pension assets. Your police pension was about $1.7 million as an asset at the end of the year, and your non-uniform pension was about $600,000 at the end of the year. Again, this is just a point in time, a snapshot. So it would be as of 12/31/2021. If you look at as of 12/31/2022, or even today, it could look drastically different. Flipping to the next page, we did implement what is known as GASB 87 during the year, which is related to leases. With the help of management, we identified one material lease related to your office space. It added about $180,000 of an asset to your government-wide financial statements, and then there's a corresponding liability, which will both decrease as payments are made on that. So you did implement that standard, which was a pretty hefty standard for all governments and then all entities as well. And then there was 3 subsequent event items that we thought were significant enough to put into the financial statements. 2 related to grants. You got a $90,000 grant related to BioSwab project, and then about a $40,000 grant related to body and in-car cameras. And then you also had the agreement signed with Township of Annville for the charter agreement with the new Western Lebanon County Regional Police. All these are just highlights in the financial statements. They did not change the ending numbers. The rest of the pages just are required communication with the board. It's very standard language. It talks about our responsibilities as your auditors, your responsibility as management overseeing those services. Talks about several significant audit areas that we established at the beginning of the audit related to grants, leases, and accounts payable. We did additional testing on those because of the significance of them. We're happy to say that we had no findings on those. If you flip to page 12, we would have to say if there was any difficulties with management. We're happy to report there were none. And we would also report in there, we do not test your internal controls, but we do review them. We're happy to say that we do not have any significant findings or material weaknesses in the current year, so very good there. And then the very last page just talks about accounting pronouncements coming forward. We always talk about this with management. We do look aheads. We're not expecting any significant changes due to these accounting pronouncements, but they're significant enough of accounting pronouncements just to bring them. I know I went through that very fast and it's in a very condensed form, but is there any questions?
I have a question, but it's more for management. It probably something I should have asked before. The lease receivables, that's in the MDJ, and is that in kind for rec? Because
It's probably just MDJ.
okay, because it seems like a lot for,
So what we have to do to value that is we look forward to all of the lease payments, and then we have to do a present value calculation to
Okay.
come up with that 180,000. So it factors in interest, it factors in the discount rate and so forth.
so question, and I wouldn't know how that works, but we don't pay as much rec fees because we give the office space. Is that considered an in-kind service that should be noted?
I would have to dive into that a little bit, the arrangement around that, I'm not sure offhand.
I mean, they don't pay us, but we don't pay them as much.
The rec charges the 3 municipalities, well, I guess the 2 municipalities, $1 per person rate. And I don't remember off the top of my head what the rate is.
180 or?
Yeah, and because we host their office, they charge us less per person.
Sorry, I just made more work for everybody, but,
We'd have to look at that on a material basis to see how that amount is, that figure. Really what would happen is we would increase revenues and just increase expenses by the same amount, so all it would be
yeah.
but still would be worth to disclose the statements based on whatever that figure is. Going forward, we should look at that.
Because I was thinking that's, the reason I brought it up was 181 sounded a little high, but what does the MDJ pay? I know, I thought it was like, 20, okay, then that's where I was
Yeah,
wrong.
that-
I thought it was a little less.
Yeah, that's through,
Okay.
sorry, looking through the work papers, that's through December 2029. So that's just because of the length of the lease, that's why it's so high.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, again, we appreciate your time. Again, I'm Scott Henry, Brian Marchuk. If there's any questions that come along the way, please don't hesitate to reach out. Both Brenda and Roger know how to contact us, and we just really appreciate all that you guys provide and what we can help with. So.
We appreciate that this isn't like this thick.
Yeah, this is a lot easier.
We were hoping that
Thank
it
you.
would improve it a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you. All right. Have a good night. All right, that takes us to public comment period number 1. Please state your name and address for the record and try to limit your comments to 5 minutes. And just a reminder, since we are now streaming, Public comments now need to be given at the podium as well. Thank you. Anybody for public comment? Nobody? Nobody wants to stand? All right, closing public comment period number 1. Moving on to the consent calendar. Approve the minutes of the July 25th, 2023 Borough Council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. That takes us to action and discussion items. First up is ordinance number 825, amend chapter 305, solid waste. Discussion on and if appropriate, suggested motion is to authorize the borough solicitor to advertise ordinance number 825, to revise chapter 305, solid waste, to revise regulations governing the storage of solid waste and recyclable materials on properties within the borough.
So moved.
Second.
Sorry, didn't say that quite loud enough.
No discussion?
Do you have any discussion?
Oh.
How does this, we currently have some rules in place for this.
Can't hear you.
I'm just wondering how this affects the current rules.
This is,
I didn't hear him.
sorry, it's about the current
And you-
rules. This is,
Generally what it already is.
yeah, but it reinforces the fact, it was brought up because of people leaving their
Leave their
trash
trash
cans
cans
and,
out.
yeah,
Okay, all right, very good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, so I have a first and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Right. Ordinance number 826, amend chapter 277, rental properties. Discussion on and if appropriate, suggested motion to authorize the borough solicitor to advertise ordinance number 826, to revise chapter 277, rental properties, to revise the time periods for registering vacant properties and to add a new section 277-14 concerning registration of short-term rental units. Discussion. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Um, Okay, I don't have anything for President's report. That takes us to the financial report. Financial statement as of July 31st will be available at the August 22nd meeting. And the delinquent sewer and refuse report will also be available at the August 22nd meeting. That takes us to the fire department. You got anything?
I do not.
Okay. Police department.
What questions do you have? You guys ask whatever you want, and I'll answer your questions. Or if you like, would you like me to start at 2020 with my budget and work my way up through? How's that? I'll direct you
Yes.
on this. I'll
I
make it easy.
did check, and from 2022 to 2022 to 2023, there was about 84,000 more.
Well,
roughly.
Let's work our way through
Okay.
the budget.
Thank you.
Let's make this a little bit easier. So in 2020, budget did go up. We has down 10.2%. So you gotta take off 2.5 because that's per the police contract that was approved by council. So that knocks me down to 7.7%. A good chunk of that is that we hired 2 officers because that allowed us to be more efficient with giving people what they needed from the contract, from vacation, time off. We were gonna put 2 officers out more than what we currently were at the time, so you have more officer safety. On top of that, we added an interview room computer. We added the police, that radio booster that was put off for several years and was a safety hazard, and if something bad would have happened, we would have got sued. So we spent about the $21,000 to take care of that issue. On top of that, we bought a speed sign. We sold the old speed sign, used whatever money was left, and then put that onto the new sign. And on top of that, we stepped into 21st century. We bought a cell phone computer that downloads cell phones, laptops, you name it, it downloads. We are one of the only departments in Lebanon County that can do that. The only other one that can do that is the county detectives. On top of that, we added Power DMS, which is where you put all of your policies, rules, and procedures. That also helps in liability reduction because we can quiz our officers on our policies and procedures, make sure they sign off and make sure they understand it. So if we get sued, I can reduce those documents, reduce our liability. We also bought scheduling software, which actually made my job easier, to be honest, and it also helped improve Christine, who does my payroll. I know Brenda and Roger will disagree with me on that, but number one, I was spending 2 to 3 hours doing scheduling, now I spend about 2 minutes. Payroll is all done. On top of that, I can track every category of overtime that I have that we previously couldn't do. I have the ability to track overtime on late calls, large court, DJ court, civil court, juvenile court, aggressive driving. I can tell you how many hearings we paid for in a year. Before I got here, you could not do that. Then in 2021, we added money again because it ended up having 27 pays. On top of that, I think 2.9% was the budget change. 2.5% of that was per the police contract for their raise. So I only added 0.4% to the budget. And in that year, we bought body cameras, 8 of those, and storage in a cloud. And we bought $3,500 in riot gear. Every officer has a helmet, a baton, every car has a shield, and we are the only police department in Lebanon County that is fully trained in riot. All of our officers can respond to a riot and do what needs to be done, and if we get sued, we have the training to back it up. What else did we do? 2022 says 7.9% again, 4.6 of that was a raise, 3.3 is what was added on my end. What did we do in 2022? 10 grand towards the county radio. Because I was talking with Moyers, they said, were we prepared in case the county wasn't going to foot the whole entire bill? So we started putting 10 grand a year away instead of hoping or playing the game, because we could have had a $110,000 bill to pay for radios. So we put a little bit away. Worst case, if the county pays for everything, we have 20 grand sitting there, or 30 grand sitting there. And I talked to Roger, we can use that at any point, just let it sit there for radios. So you need an in-car, if you need one for the car, we have it. Need a handheld, we have it. It doesn't affect the budget in the future.
Is this for the new countywide?
Yep. Top of that, we just had the iCloud, our storage in the cloud, and then we also finished off the in-car system. So now we have the in-car body camera, for the in-car cameras, we have body cameras. It's all liability reduction. We've had people come in and want to file complaints on officers. The minute I say, would you like to watch the body camera? They no longer have a complaint. Our convictions in front of DJ Garver has gone up. All we gotta do is hit play, and you can see the person saying, well, I meant to stop at the stop sign, but I slowed down, or yeah, I didn't have a license. Everything goes down to the common pleas. Our conviction rates have gone up based off of this. So those have been a plus for the department. And then 2023, it says our budget change went up 9.6. 5% of that was in salary, 4.6 was, the cost of doing business things. So while you might say the CPI, I'm coming in under each one of those numbers except for the first year when we added 2 people. So in 2023, another $10,000 for the county radio, the in-cloud storage, that's $6,300. But we also have unlimited, and I know people would say, well, can you get cheaper? When you look at the difference between unlimited storage and one step down, it's nothing in the grand scheme of things. It's next to nothing. On top of that, we budgeted $15,000. We got 3 of the tac vests to wear for active shooters. They were in all the cars. We needed some new cabinets. We took care of that. The only thing I haven't purchased was the mounted LPR, and I've been holding off on that because of the regional, because if you have 2 of them, it's $10,000 a year. Angelo got part of the grant from the county. That's why I didn't spend the money on that. So that takes care of that. Let's see. That's that. Any questions on any of those things? That's where your budget got from. Most of it is manpower and benefits. Otherwise, we've done pretty well. And if you look at the overall numbers, while you have my budget high in '22, I came in 5% under. And then the year before, I came in 8% under. So with the money you've given me, I've never spent the full amount and have come in under every time. So that takes care of that. So what's your next question that you would like? Would you like the regional part? Part of the reason those numbers are not so great is the sheer fact that while each of us have great ratings as individual places, you are a new entity and they don't honor that stuff, which I don't agree with, because if Palmyra has a good rating, whatever the ratings you guys call them, I forget the exact names. We have a good rating, Anvil has a good rating, it doesn't matter, because you're new and you have nothing. So that's why your numbers are high. Healthcare is high because you're a brand new entity, and it is a way for them to jack up the cost. The same with like the insurance. Where before you're pulling in, it's a little lower, here it's police all in one, and it ends up being higher. That's what I can say on the budget. I didn't control some of these numbers.
And you did make it really a worst case scenario.
As high as I thought I could based off of our numbers, it's just, I didn't realize that they would be, I thought you would factor into this somehow, but you don't. You're a brand new entity, so they automatically take the numbers higher.
Opportunity for that to be reduced once
That's what I was just
we
gonna
get
ask, yeah.
established?
I don't foresee it.
I mean, I don't know that insurance ever would go down,
I learned
but
about the healthcare from talking to Roger. You could, if you don't, I'll let you explain that part. I'm gonna butcher it. If you don't use all the amount, they give you money back. Right.
Yeah, every year you get a
We're
discount,
a capture.
hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah, then you take that, and then you take that number off. You have contract service, so that'll take some off. You so far have gotten one grant to pay for in-car cameras and body cameras and the first year of storage. I think 2 years of storage. I gotta look at that. I was going to start, that's why I held off on starting on 2 other grants. The other grant is for getting some of the chief's salary paid for. I could probably get $100,000 on that, but you wouldn't see that until some point in 2023, and you'd have it in your budget in 2024. And then there's the MAP grant, which I was going to sit down, and that basically would cover your uniforms, decal of cars. I could probably, I think, handguns, tasers, all the things that you would need to make everything as one.
so do you have any idea how much of this budget is, like, for lack of a better term, a one-time,
Your one,
Startup,
for-
like a startup?
yeah,
you're not paying any startup. That whole grant that I'm working on to get the MAP grant, that covers everything I just rattled off. That covers the decaling, handguns.
but is
tasers.
that money in the budget?
No, that's
Okay,
separate.
so that's separate, and if we wouldn't get a grant for that, that would have to be accommodated too.
I'm very sure you will get that grant.
I realize that the grants for these type of regional departments are, I don't wanna say easy, but they are
What other questions?
easier to get.
Encouraged.
Yeah, so what other questions on that budget? Those are the numbers. The only number I can guarantee is you will get 50 grand a year back for sure, and that is in the building rent.
I think what happened was, we all heard, we're gonna save money doing this. That's what it seemed to be the consensus. And then when someone shook their head, like, no, that's not gonna happen, we were kind of shell-shocked.
Guess I'm trying to figure out when you heard this, because I never came out and said
We
saving
never
money.
did, there was,
That was never any of the words that came out of my mouth. My mouth came out of, it would be combining services, becoming more professional, having more supervision, retaining officers, because you will have a larger department, you will have more area, people that wanna work want those certain opportunities. Those are the things. When it came up to savings, I said, I don't know, because I'll be honest, I would not stick my head in the noose on that, because I had no numbers.
Well, and to be honest with you, even the original report we got from the state didn't really give a clear indication that we would be saving money. I went back and looked at it.
grants to pay for
Yeah.
some of the, offset the cost.
Yeah, I went back and looked at that, and even the original one where it had 3 municipalities in, wasn't really saving us money. I think we were just a little, I don't wanna say shocked, I think we were a little surprised at the amount, so.
I kind of have like a statement, kind of question a little bit, but, and I appreciate you informing us all about that. And I do think in some ways that, you know, this is very vital and important. You know, my whole thing always is, how can we try not to increase taxes for the residents every year? That's one of my big things. And so I just have a quick question, is that the budget, percent change for the 2024, and it says 10%, is there, and I know this is all rough, you know, in some ways and some of the numbers, but is there any way that things that we could look at to try to get that 10% down a little bit, maybe not all the way to 5, but down in some ways down, or are we already doing that? Or that way, when next year comes around and you know, we do our budgets and taxes, you know, we can at least say, like, you know, we were able to try to, you know, do that for the residents, because last year we I think it was like what, each resident, it was like $152.45 per person. Each resident had an increase in tax from 2020 for 2023. So that's my only thing, is that what can we do for the residents, and how can we ensure that they're always safe, but also understand that about 15.5% of them are 65 and older. And what can we do to make sure that they're safe, but also that if they get, you know, standard paycheck every month and same thing, that how can we kind of, you know, be there to support them so they feel like their voices are heard? So is there anything that we can do with that 10% that we can try to move down, or?
Well,
or
5% of that is CPI, so.
Oh, right,
That's
but,
raises.
but is there, I was just saying.
that's contract.
That's just me voicing,
Yeah.
is
No,
there, is there
I
anything that
get
like
that.
we could do? Cause I do see the benefits, I'm not saying I don't, I'm just saying, is there anything that we can do to try to get it down? Is there any avenue that we could? Just throwing it out there for us all to discuss.
Let's see, because pretty much everything on here, working each line item is pretty much using what I've been using for Palmyra and being able to stay within those numbers.
Yeah.
The only thing you could do to knock that would probably be not hire one person, and that'll take it down, but you're still gonna be over 200. Or over 2 million, a little bit, that I know, because I played around with the numbers and did a few things.
Okay.
Most of it will be your guys' decisions, what you wanna do, but you should probably do something sooner than later, because grants have timelines. The first one's due in the beginning of September, and I'll be honest, it's a lot of work and a lot of writing and getting paperwork signed. So if we're not going to do this, I'm not going to start writing that grant. And I'm supposed to have a meeting on the 16th with the other people for the map, and if we're not going to do it, I'm not gonna waste their time either. And if that's the route you're gonna go, then you have to let the 2 commissioners know on the board, because they'll have to let Anvil know.
Okay, so when I look at this, 2022 actual budget was 1.7 million. 2023 was 1.89 million. So there's $180,000 plus. Now you're gonna go to, it was like 209 is the increase. So I'm not seeing, please don't get me wrong, it's a lot of money, and you know how I feel about spending money. But this is not as, it's really not that much more of an increase as we had last year, dollar-wise. 1.7 to 1.89 from 22 to 23.
You're increasing your coverage by 2 bodies,
Yeah.
basically salary minus their benefits, for $160,000. You don't get 2 officers for $160,000 with benefits.
And that's wonderful. I really do. I think that's wonderful. But I think we all think that's, that's great. But like the numbers I said with the residents that live in this borough, then, Anvil has to do their things. I think, like I said, I think this is a great thing because safety is always very important. But I think we just always need to keep in mind the residents in the back of our mind. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Totally agree.
That's all I'm saying. Because as much as it makes sense and it doesn't go up that much, maybe not like to us, but maybe to somebody else it does go up a lot. And now they can't maybe get that one meal. Like I said, I'm not saying this is a bad idea. I'm just saying we need to keep them in the back of our minds because that's why we're here. That's all. It's just a tough decision either way, so.
Every decision we've had to make since I've been on this
I
council
was
has
gonna say,
been
it has
tough.
not been easy.
Yeah.
Neither-
They're never
no
easy.
decision's been
And
easy.
kicked down the road for 20 years. Better get a carry permit if you don't want extra police, because you're gonna need them.
I'm not saying we don't need them, and I don't want to kick down anything. I just think that when we go through this, we need to just ask ourselves that. And then maybe how we can try to bring things down if we can. And if we can't, okay, at least we talked about it. But I don't think we should just say yes to say yes. I don't think we should do that. I think that does it,
I agree, if there's something we can look at it, but.
So then we talk about it more then, and we see what we can do. I don't think, like I said, I don't think at all this is a bad idea. I don't want to keep getting anything down the table, and every decision will be tough, That's why we're in these seats, but I just think that, like, how can we, the next budget, just tell the residents, hey, it's gonna go up this much more with your taxes? And I know some people on fixed incomes, and my heart goes out to them. And yeah, they're gonna be safe, but can their heat be on then for the winter? These are questions that we need to just ask ourselves. And it's not anything that I'm not against it or that I want to kick the carrot down the road. It has nothing to do with that. But I think it's not right if we don't ask ourselves these questions. And we don't try to understand, like, not everyone might be in the type of situation that we are where it would be fine. That's all.
Do we need a motion or anything, or?
For what?
Okay.
Public safety is one of those, how can you put a price on it?
What did you say? Said public safety is one of those.
I'm
how can you
sorry,
put a
did
price
that
on
not come through?
You have to pull your mic
Sorry.
up.
I said, public safety is one of those items how do you put a price on it?
So if, and I'm not saying it should be, but if we stay status quo the way we are now, we are still probably looking at close to a 10% increase. We got 5% in salaries for the year.
That we can't argue with.
Plus, let's face it, unfortunately, we are all paying more for everything. So, I'm a little torn, believe me. Everybody here knows I don't like to spend money, but I'm torn because I don't know, it would be great if we had a budget to compare if we stay the way we are right now. But I'm not sure that that's gonna be a huge savings. It's still gonna go up a minimum of 5%.
You're 1.9 some change on a rough one.
What?
You're like 1.9 and a half when I forget the number I gave you, but.
Plus?
No, like if, I did a budget just for Palmyra for 2024, just to see where
Okay,
the came
okay.
in. And it was like $1,900,000 and some dollars. I have the number
Okay.
memorized, it's on my computer, but
No, but that helps.
that was going in, adding 5% on salaries, adding
So
5%
we're-
to healthcare, 5% to any of those things that go up and down that are benefits. Basically just adding 5% to everything.
Does that include replacing the officer that resigned?
Putting him in there too.
I figured it did.
Yeah, we're at $800,000. There's not gonna be much, any real major cost savings here, if you look at it. If you have 5% from 1.8 million, I mean, that's already a big number there. You're getting close to this 2 million anyway.
And this doesn't factor in everything else that we're gonna have to go through with the budget or anything like that, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah, so,
No, this will actually be its own
right,
budget.
but then the taxpayers, they would have to factor this, then whatever else.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we have the regular
Yeah.
general fund and sewer and trash.
I think the biggest thing always is, I
You're
mean,
$2 million at just a 5% increase.
Exactly.
You're adding $100,000 to this by doing all this, that's it. It's 1.9845 with just a 5% increase that we're already contractually done. So, we're talking about $100,000.
Might actually
No.
save that over the pension.
It's 160 overall, so he's telling you that with the 5%, it's only leaving 100,000.
What did you come up with?
Oh, shit.
Sorry.
No, I just,
What did you say? He didn't say that.
so, if I took 2023's budget of 1.89 and then took 5%, it's 1.984.
Yeah.
That's your increase right there, right off the bat.
So we're looking at 2 million,
You're,
no
you're,
matter
you're at
what.
2 million anyway, and this is 2,100,000, so we're talking about $100,000. Take the money we saved on the roads and,
Still a lot of money.
I know.
yeah, no, I do think that's a lot for the residents, because, also keep in mind, the average median household income is $56,124 in Palmyra Borough. The average median income for PA is 67. Now, I throw these numbers because we just gotta be mindful. Like I said, public safety, 100%, it's important. We need to be safe, especially in today's day and age. But, I mean, this is a lot for the residents, and I don't know if if this would help them, What would Christmas look like for them? Like, these are things we need to think about. So maybe we need to discuss more and look up things more, but these things we need to talk about a little bit more than just, I think, go to a clear decision. So, like I said, I'm not against anything. I ask a lot of questions, and that's who I am, and that's what I will always do.
What do you guys want to do?
Just so you're ready for the next couple of years when you have to add 1.5 million to your budget for fire service.
And I'll ask those questions.
And
I have that on.
And we're looking at probably a huge increase next year for trash.
Yes.
Yes.
I welcome the discussions, and I welcome it all.
And I'm not saying you don't need a police department, but legally,
Legally, you have to
you are required to have fire service.
Right, no,
There's nothing in Borough Code.
I understand all that, and these are gonna
Provide
be
you.
different things. I'm looking at this right now, this issue, not issue, but this, event that's in front of us, all those other things that's gonna come, they'll come, and then we'll cross those bridges when they come. But right now, we're crossing this bridge, and we gotta face it.
My point was, it's not something you can't do. That's the point I was making.
Right, but I get that, but I'm someone that's always gonna ask 1,000,001 questions until we figure out if it's always the best thing for the residents. That's just, end of the day. So like I said, I see a lot of benefits with this department, 100%. I am simply looking at it from the tax standpoint for the residents, because not everyone in the borough, they fix income, stuff like that, and that's not fair. And they might see that, why are we doing this? Now everything changes, now I have a little bit more this month, a little bit less, so, anyway.
Chief, what do you need us to do?
I just wanna know, should I keep working on grants or not? That's really what it comes down to, because I'm gonna be honest, they're paying to answer all the questions and go through getting all the paperwork.
Definitely.
I'll do it if you wanna make a decision by the next meeting, but cause there's gotta come a point when you start getting grants, it's very bad to give them back.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've
Oh, yeah.
getting
Been there, done that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Stormwater one.
Yep.
yeah, like,
Yep.
you should know, but if you can't figure it out today, by the next one, you should have an idea. And I can work on the other things and start. I've already put a lot of time in this already, so if I spend the next 2 weeks writing one grant anyway, it's not gonna matter. But need to know before I submit that, because I really don't wanna submit it and then get it and then have to say, I'm sorry, you can have your money back, because then I know we're done, we'll never get money again.
Yeah.
That's the way the state works. You won't get a nickel.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to decide tonight, or do you want to wait 2 weeks?
I think,
Biggest
Tom
hope
said
is-
we'll be back in
Oh,
2 weeks.
yeah, Tom's
And I
not here.
think it's fair
Yeah.
if Tom's here, that
Yeah.
way we all can talk.
Yeah, I agree. Put it on the agenda for 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Will do.
Because the biggest one, just now shut up, would be the pension, depending, how long did she say that study, that should be, will that pension study be done
Thank you.
before?
No,
I just looked over.
we
it.
have
I
not
see
even
what it says.
submitted it
of
for the
course.
actuaries.
No, but we do have somebody from Benetcon talking tomorrow night.
That's benefits.
Yeah.
Pension-wise, it has not even
Okay.
gone to the actuaries yet. We just received our table that I'll be presenting to the commission tomorrow for them to decide.
Okay.
Because that would be the one spot where it's going to come off depending how that plays out, but I don't want to say yes or no.
Well, I would think that would actually affect Anvil Township more than the borough, because the boroughs, our pension plan, we're gonna go straight into the, the same plan. So, and we're funded.
And that's where I could see that number going down a lot. Like,
It could very
I
well.
could see a good chunk come off that number, and they would hit more of what they're talking. But I don't want to,
You're still going to 2 million.
I don't want to say.
There's no way out of the contract, it is 2 million, is the budget for 2024, starting right now. So,
That
the only thing
number
you can do
completely.
is save a little bit of money, if that comes back to.
Might be able to make it down to 205 instead of 210.
The unfortunate thing is, by combining both police departments, when you look at some of the insurances, you're taking both of the high-risk departments in the municipalities, putting them in one department with no assets.
Right, yeah.
And that is like workers' comp, the experience mod is gonna start high until they prove that they can
Right.
bring that down, and that's gonna take 3 to 5 years. Okay, as far as their benefits go, well, anytime you start a new plan,
It's
you're
not
gonna,
come
you're gonna
down.
see an increase.
It's not
Yeah,
gonna come,
no,
it's not
there's
gonna
nothing
come
we can do
down,
about
we
that.
just won't increase as quickly as that modification factor
Well,
comes down. So we're not
Right,
gonna
right.
ever go lower.
Right, you're not gonna experience any of those savings, so,
No, the one saving grace is, and again, this is nothing that we can count on, is that another municipality ends up coming in.
Right. We
With
can
us.
split your expenses a little bit more.
And then you'll drop pretty good, 'cause
I mean, that's not a guarantee.
I played with numbers on that. And you need to hit about 15,000 for your population, then you get a nice drop. That's from the chart that the state gave me, just looking at it. 15 to 16,000, you get a huge per capita drop. Once you get above 16,000 people, the number really starts dropping. It's just high until you hit that number.
How many people are we at right now? Because the borough, I think we have about 7,000 in the borough.
About 12,000, say 12,500 roughly.
So Annville was what, bringing in,
It's gotta be a little more.
A little over 12.
We're at 7,800 right now.
Yeah, and Anvil's gotta be, Anvil Township,
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I was thinking they gotta be over 4, but not just the township.
Not yet. Coming.
South Anvil would be Perfect. They're gonna see a lot of growth.
And just curious, any chance that South Anvil might change their mind? Or like, maybe one of the Londonderrys or,
We didn't wanna push anymore, we only wanted to do one combination at one time, not try and do two, it just gets so complex.
backed out early.
South, yes, and to be honest, I can see why. They don't have a fully funded or a full-time police department, so for them, this would be huge, a huge increase to
Well,
join the region.
I don't really think that it should be dropped by anybody. I think you ought to consider something, because if you're aware of it, and Chief Carney back me up on this, there's a lot of departments out there in the county, like Cleona covers for North Anvil. Cleona covers, there's other departments in the county that, if you approach them the right way, you could probably bring them to come along in and, bring some of that money along.
I know Cleona for a fact would not join.
What?
I know Cleona would not join any regionalization with police.
No,
Is that what you mean?
I'm saying they're
Oh.
covering for Anvil,
Yes,
North Anvil.
Yes, that's
North
true.
Anvil's paying them.
Yes,
Same way with South Anvil. North Anvil's paying for, South Anvil's paying for them.
right.
Our guys, Anvil and Palmyra, all they gotta do is combine them up like this and bring them along with them, and they have their money. Am I right or wrong, Chief?
That's future,
Yeah, that's future.
Yeah.
it's not right now, that's
Yeah.
not this number.
And it's not a guarantee.
No, but it's better than nothing. You have no guarantee of it now.
I mean, that would be the hope that another municipality would join.
Myerstown has no police department anymore. Heidelberg doesn't have a police department, do they? All those departments are folding up. And they're gonna have to go with a countywide department, or there's not gonna be any police protection.
Well, they rely on state police coverage, and
Let
and
me
we
tell you
can't
something.
rely on that
I
either.
worked for the county of
I
Lebanon
know.
for 20 years as a police dispatcher. And out of that 20 years, if you got a state trooper to come out after
know.
midnight, you were lucky, because they were busy somewhere else
Well,
in the
not only
township.
that, I mean, there's been talk for at least a decade about the state charging municipalities for state police coverage, although that, they've been talking about that forever. And they don't do anything, but,
And they
Okay.
should,
and.
It would
well, yeah,
change things, it would
And
be a
they
game
should.
changer.
Yeah.
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
All right, well, everybody give it some thought for the next 2 weeks. And we'll figure it out next meeting. Anything else for the police department?
Can I make a quick statement, actually a quick thank you to Chief? I did not talk to him about this, but this past weekend, I got a call Saturday morning. We had a huge event down at Memorial Park. It was your community financial, or financial community's 40th anniversary. Well, they neglected to come in and get the keys to the park. And realized it on Saturday morning. So they responded to the police department, and Officer Smoot contacted me. I walked him through where to get the keys, and he made sure to deliver them to the park. So I just wanted to publicly thank Officer Smoot, because that was a huge event. And they would not have been able to use any of the facilities.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
not be good.
so he went out of his way to help them.
Very good, good. Thank him for us, too.
All right, Planning Commission did not meet in July. Next scheduled meeting is Wednesday, August 23rd, beginning at 7 PM. Takes us to Public Works. Everybody got the superintendent's report. Any questions on that? Okay, moving on to Borough Properties. Roger.
Okay, first thing is the update on the municipal building renovation project. Originally, the contractors were going to start in early August. Apparently, there is still quite a bit of material that's not available readily. So I think they're gonna take us a little bit of a delay. They're gonna try to make sure they get all their stuff ordered, make sure they can get the stuff here in the time that they need it to. And they're probably not gonna start until September, possibly even as late as early October. And by having everything up front taken care of, then they'll be done, they're pretty confident they can be done by mid-February. So there's a little bit of a change in the schedule. Nothing? All right. The next item is the cell tower at the Public Works facility at 910 East Broad. I have the proposed lease at the solicitor's office for review, and I have not heard anything back from her as of yet, so we're still waiting for that. And there's not much else going on in any of our other properties at the moment, which is a good thing. Cemetery's all quiet, unless you tell me different.
No? No activity.
Never gets old.
One of these days.
That takes us to parks. We have two items on here that I believe Councilor Tesh has to be back on the agenda with the Heritage Park Basketball Court and the Southeast Park Loop Trail.
I personally believe I got confused last week or 2 weeks ago. I thought we were gonna take the Heritage Park basketball court for $26,000, is that the right number?
Correct.
And we were gonna go ahead and fix that, because we had the money for, we had the 140 some odd thousand left over from what we didn't pay. And then we were gonna hold off. We were gonna go ahead with the loop trail that we were doing with the millings and everything, and then budget for next year to put in the asphalt, to asphalt that. But I don't think that's what we actually voted. So can we reopen this and say, okay, do we have a motion to fix the basketball court using the expenditure, the non-expended money from paving?
I thought the basketball court was what we were gonna put into the budget for next year.
Yes,
That's
that's
it, yeah.
And that's what happened,
Yes.
we got confused, yeah, so, I got confused. I would like to take the $26,000 to fix the basketball court. Just, that way we've done something for the community with their money.
To rebuild, which is that?
Oh, no, I thought we were just fixing,
Because there is only a patch this big, and the rest is cracks.
It
It
needs
has to be
rebuild.
all done.
yeah, I thought you had to
It
take
needs
it.
rebuild.
Right.
Okay. My opinion is we could kick that down the road the way it is. There's no hazard there except for a
But-
patch this big.
But I will tell you this, is that I drive by there, I played there, I grew up playing there, and when you get those cracks there, you can trip and fall, scrape your knee, and it's bad. And I see a lot of young kids out there wanting to play with their dads, moms, and I think it's an excellent thing in the center of town for the community to have where they can go. It's the only basketball court we have. And also, that money, that $148,000, that's money we have that we can use and do something beneficial for the kids, for this community, and it's not gonna raise the taxes for anybody. So why would we kick the can down the corner, down the road on this one, when we should just do it and do something like that for the residents and help them out? This doesn't raise anyone's taxes, we have it, and I think James has a great idea with that, and I see people out there all the time. I work from home, so I drive out on my lunch, and, I might take my kid out there, and I see, because the only other courts you have is at elementary schools. And some of those elementary schools, they're very high north sides, I think they're like over 10 feet. And this is nice, they have a nice full court, but with how it is, and it's smaller, it's hard to play on at times when you have those cracks, and you gotta watch out. So I don't see anything that wouldn't benefit from it. I grew up playing on it my whole life, and it's not gonna cost taxpayers, and I think it's something that we have, and I think if we're about trying to fix things and benefit, why not? Because if we don't fix some of our parks for the kids, guess what? The families are gonna leave, and they're gonna leave the borough, and they're gonna go to Londonderry or Hershey or wherever, because we don't have nice stuff. So if this is something that we can do to have a nice park for the kids, why not?
Because they busted up, they break the lights.
So one kid that busted up is gonna be, so
You
that
can't
goes.
tell me you live where you live, all the years that you have,
Mhm.
and you've never seen the kids over there destroying it.
I've seen kids do things, but that's one rotten egg, and why do we need to have that ruin it for everybody else? Because guess what, there's a lot of other kids with families that do use that park the right way, and I have seen that from my own eyes.
Destroying stuff.
But looking at the broader picture, that 148,000 can be left in the budget. And that can be put to good use next year when we already know we might be looking at a $2.1 million budget, just for the police alone.
That's it, yeah, it can. It also can do
Why
that
put
too.
a quarter of that
Or
towards the
pave
basketball
another
court?
street.
We can use, maybe put that and hold it and put it where it's gonna be needed in
No.
4 months.
No, that's another great point. It can, but we can always look at that every year. I'm just saying that,
Not always there every year. We
No,
don't
no,
always
no,
have
no.
148,000 extra.
no, I'm not saying that money's not there every year, but I'm saying we could always look at it from that standpoint of like, we can always just put that off to next year, whatever it is. But that's a great point. I think,
I
of
think that's
course.
why some of us said put it in the budget to see
Yeah.
Well-
where it might be in 4 months.
No, and that's
What
fine
else is
too.
there?
I'm just saying that, is that, I just see some pros in that, and it doesn't cost taxpayers money with that, and it's something that can,
It is taxpayers' money
Yeah.
regardless.
their
Yeah.
taxes aren't gonna
Even
get
if it's a
increased.
grant, it's taxpayers'
Yeah,
money
but
out
they're,
of your
but they might
pocket and
increase
mine
something
that
with
goes
something
into
else
a
next
big
year.
No, yeah.
It's granted to other people.
And I think that's all great points. I'm just making my point, and I get
Not
that.
from trees.
I know it's not from trees, trust me, I know that. Money's not made on trees, I think we know that, trust me.
All right,
But anyway,
so does everybody want it on the budget?
yes.
So we're just leaving it on budget for next year.
I would
Next.
prefer to do that.
Good to go.
Yeah, that's fine, leave it on the
Okay.
budget. Then we
Put that
can,
in the budget.
That way, when we look at the entire budget, we
Big
can
picture.
see where we are.
Just for clarification, we are still putting the millings on the loop
Yes.
trail, right?
Yes.
That,
Yes.
no
Okay.
change.
Yes.
Because I think I was a little confused too after
Well,
talking
but I
to
don't,
you.
That's
you
what I-
confused me.
I
I think we decided that that was it. We
Okay.
weren't gonna put paving in the budget, correct?
We didn't say we were gonna do that.
No.
That's what,
I don't.
that's where I got.
I think we left it at millings only.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
The millings are the.
that was also to be included in the 24 budget also.
What was?
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the lighted walking
was
trail.
clear.
Never mind, I apologize.
Yeah, it was millings only and that was gonna
Yes.
be done
Millings
this
only.
year.
Yes,
The
that we were
millings
doing.
were already paid by the taxpayer years ago.
We have the millings.
They're leftovers.
All
They're
right.
leftovers.
We decided against
But we've
paving
had
the
to take
trail.
off the
Good.
streets to
Good.
to repair them, yes.
I understand that.
We're gonna
Okay.
dispose of
So
them.
All right, moving on to refuse and recycling.
I do have one thing to report. Galera has a compliance officer that
Yeah.
does random inspections of collection agencies. And they do this unannounced, obviously. So they were in the borough a few weeks ago, and they saw Waste Management making some mistakes. They're taking contaminated recycling, they're taking the cardboard and throwing it in as waste, which has been reported
Yes.
previously. So they documented all that, reported it to Amy at Galera. She reached out and informed Waste Management of their findings, which prompted some meetings with Waste Management. They've basically agreed, yes, they need to do more training for the guys on the back of the trucks. They need to actually use the stickers that we give them for education, for the problems with contaminated recycling. The caveat is that when people used to fix stuff before, they would try to come back the same day or possibly the next morning to pick it up. Now they're basically saying, okay, we're gonna do this, but we can't come back and collect it until the next week. So that's gonna be the difference, so.
Okay, and I know they do that, cause I always read their report, the report that gets, their board report that gets sent to us, and it's amazing how much they see. And it's all the waste management, all the waste hauling services.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they were threatened with possible fines, but that's
Yeah.
not their goal. They just want better compliance with everything.
Let's
so-
hope not, because that'll just up our rates even more.
Right.
Although, education doesn't seem to help with,
It's tough, and with our population being transient with the apartments, the amount of
Right,
apartments
makes it
we have people coming from all over the place that have, every place has a different rule, so.
and in doubt, throw it out.
Yeah, that's,
And there's a lot of that in doubt isn't being done You
Right,
go
they're-
through the alley, the day of recycling, and you see cereal boxes
Yes.
and
Okay, so now I have a
Dunkin'
question.
Donuts stuff and
Because
styrofoam cups, everything in those.
On Waste Management's site, they
we're gonna
say
throw that
they
in the trash.
take cereal boxes.
Not in there.
Not,
it should
they, yeah, but they
not
say
in the
they
plan.
take it. Northland, South London Dairy recycles all of that. The only time you can't is like the pasta boxes that have the little cellophane window, they won't take those. But they will take a cereal box.
But you look at the
So-
county recycling plan, that's not in there.
Right.
But
It's
South-
corrugated only is
Yeah,
what it's supposed to be.
South London Dairy, who has Waste Management, my sister lives in South London Dairy, has Waste Management, they take all of that. Every single cardboard box.
They don't care.
But on,
With
so
their
so
regular
no lie,
trash.
I was arguing with her saying Waste Management will not take that, I know. And she
We'll
went
take it.
on their site and it says they will take cereal
But it
boxes.
says that on their site.
Yes, they do,
And they're nodding compliance,
yeah.
just like this.
So it's just bizarre. So as a council, we don't even understand what they take and what they don't.
I do.
Yeah, I don't. I throw those boxes away.
Plastic.
My wife has
Solid
that
waste.
thing in the refrigerator that she sends out with a bill,
Yeah,
and I told her about the caps off the soda bottles.
yeah.
She got so upset with me, she said, "You do not throw that in the trash." I mean, we had an argument over something.
The
stupid
caps you
like
do
that.
take off. Caps aren't supposed to be the recycled part.
Right.
Just the bottle itself.
Lids?
Yep. Yeah, so, there you go.
I read it. I
But
mean,
it's a
I
little
read it.
different when you have somebody who should know who's doing the work and then throwing it in the garbage instead of the recycling. Yeah, I get that, so.
Now, Waste Management did tell us, I mean, they have their own recycling centers.
Yeah.
Where all the stuff gets source separated. They expect like a 30% contamination rate.
Yeah.
But from what they were witnessing being collected was much higher than that, so they're,
I'd like to have that job.
they're trying to get down to closer to the 30% rate. So,
A lot of added labor, 30%, good grief.
How would you like to do that as a job? Sort of. Thank God somebody will do it.
Sewer system?
Sewer system, nothing to report on the sewer system. It's functioning well, thank goodness. Sinkholes, nothing new to report there. Stormwater management, I don't think there's anything new to report there. The Phase A system, we're still, I know Ritu's been bouncing some stuff back and forth between the railroad, and they're asking for an extension on our permit request, so that we don't have to pay them the $40,000 fee for the permit, until we get the project bid and know what the cost is actually gonna be. That's the goal. I don't know if they're gonna approve that or not. If they don't, then we're gonna have a decision to make. Do we pay them?
Do we pay the 40?
Do we pay the 40 in hopes that we're still gonna afford the stormwater project or not? So let's hope it doesn't come to that. Hopefully they'll give us an extension that we'll be able to bid the project.
So
and
let me
find out
ask
what
you
it is.
this, about time-wise, once they would, they approve all of this, what kind of timeline are we looking at? Because if they approve, would have to pay that 40,000 permit? If they do not,
The permit that they gave us says we have to execute it within 60 days, and we're closing in on that 60 days.
but they haven't even given us the okay, technically to do this, they're still reviewing all that.
No, I think they forwarded us a permit that says
Okay,
they're good with everything now. It's just that we have to act on it within 60 days of
Okay.
receipt of it.
so are we just waiting to put out a bid?
Well,
Ritu has to get all
Ritu's
that
still working on the
information. Okay.
design, the final design of everything.
And how long, do we have an idea of how long that would take?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
So, but they're the ones asking for the extension. So
Do we have
they're,
a Co-Stars vendor?
Ritu's-
Or sorry,
Sorry, Ritu's asking for the extension?
Yes.
Okay.
do we have a Co-Stars vendor or we gotta go 3 bids?
that's gonna have to be bid,
Yeah.
yeah. At prevailing wage rate and the whole 9 yards. bioswale project, we have a meeting this Thursday night
This Thursday?
with the property owners, just to bring them up to speed on everything with that project.
We are
Anything
probably
else?
going out to bid in September. We're waiting for easement agreement signatures from the property owners that will be directly affected. And I think before the end of this year, we will probably have a stormwater project that's gonna be ready to go. And don't forget now, there's a $90,000 commitment
Right.
from the borough
Right.
that if we don't get it started and paid in 2023, will have to be part of the budget in 2024.
And while I'm glad there's some stormwater done, it's really not,
It checks a box.
it checks a box and that's it. It
Well,
doesn't
it checks the
help.
box for your MS4.
Yes, it does not necessarily help the residents of the borough.
Okay, street and alley maintenance, not much to report there. There's some alleys the guys are still working on grading and working in new buildings and things like that, but it's nothing exciting. Traffic signals, nothing to report there. So that pretty much wraps up Public Works. For the solicitor's report, we have an issue with the lighting at the rear of Wendy's. We had a complaint from the neighbors there that the lights are just shining all over the place. They're not shielded, and we confirmed that. Michelle sent a couple series of letters, first a courtesy notice, then the actual notice of violation. We're not getting any kind of cooperation, so I believe I copied in your packet the email from Jason Hess in our solicitor's office about options for enforcement. He gave you a couple options, one going to the local MDJ judge for a judgment, but I think they prefer actually filing a complaint in equity at the Lebanon County Court. That's the other option, because it gives us more of an opportunity for enforcement and recouping attorney's fees and whatnot. So it's up to you kind of which direction you think we should go. And
So my first question is, these are franchises.
Right.
So it goes to the property owner? I'm assuming that whoever owns the Wendy's owns the property, it's not a lease kind of. I mean, are we sure that,
I'm not sure, I think.
are we sure that the right person got,
That's what, yeah.
Got it.
Go into
I
like
can
the
verify that
regional
tomorrow, but,
office.
we bill their sewer bill to
Okay.
the franchisee.
Okay.
So that would be the information.
okay, then that would make sense. And I swear we had this problem years ago with Wendy's and the light, didn't we?
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't know why it sounded familiar to me.
It's like a $400 fix. It's stupid.
I mean,
It's stupid. I'm on
and
record of
we've
that.
basically, we've heard that. Now, I did get a report from one of the neighbors that's been complaining that he did see somebody on the roof looking at the lights. I don't know that he adjusted the angle or anything, but, so maybe they're doing something.
Well,
I don't know, but.
I'm leaning towards going with the solicitor's suggestion,
Yeah, that would,
because that's why we have a solicitor to,
right, that'd be my recommendation. I've been through that a few times in the past, and that's generally the way you go.
I swear something was with Hardee's. I swear there was something with Wendy's years ago. Anyway,
Do you need us to vote or anything?
No, we did the one down at, filling station.
Yeah, you're not thinking about the lights at the
no,
filling station.
I
That
swear it was
that
something
recent.
with, well, either a fence or something. I swear.
station was real
Anyway,
recent.
doesn't- oh, no, Sheets. When Sheets expanded, that's what I'm thinking of, never mind.
Yeah, there was trouble with, they're wrecking the neighbors' bushes from the
Yeah.
truck deliveries.
never mind.
That was it.
Are we going with the option of sending a letter by the attorney on a file? You want your
Yeah.
solicitor to send the letter?
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I think they'd like,
Yeah.
I think they'd like you to do a motion. If you want to do the complaint in equity, just have a motion that you've authorized them to prepare that.
This one.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Okay. The only other thing to report under solicitor is I gave an 8.5-hour deposition today for the Medina sinkhole lawsuit, so that was a blast. So, Mr. Medina gives his deposition tomorrow, so don't know how long that'll take, but I think they're looking at possible trial next year, so we'll see. That's going on forever.
Is he the one that owned 2 of those properties?
He lives right next door on the west side of South Grant Street, and he owns an apartment right to the rear of his property on Maple Street.
Just 3 units.
3 units there, yeah.
So when we win this, you get your 8 hours sent back to
Yeah.
the borough, right? Yeah, okay.
Zoning and codes enforcement, you should have Michelle's report. There was no zoning hearings scheduled for this month, so there was nothing for them to do this month. And the final item for zoning and codes is our current code enforcement software. It's not user-friendly, and it's not really helping Michelle do her job, so it's not, what we were hoping for that to happen was for her to be able to streamline her work and save her time and money, and what we're finding is it's not really doing what we would like it to do, so we were looking for alternatives, and we think we found a really good one. Price is gonna be the same. The only thing is there's an implementation fee of $4,000, so we were hoping that you would approve that expenditure so that we can make that happen.
Didn't we just buy her software 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, how long has she been using this?
2018?
But aren't they
For the
subscription?
same reason?
2018, I think it was.
For the same reason?
No, we didn't have any, I didn't think.
We had none.
have any.
We
We
had
didn't
none.
have any.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is a subscription,
It's a
so
subscription.
it's every year we're gonna pay it again,
Yeah.
whether it's.
Whether
is
it's
just-
this company or that company, it's just the
$4,000
implementation.
Yeah, the only additional expense is the $4,000.
Have we gotten like reviews on this or anything? Because, I mean, what's to say that we're not gonna have the same issues with this one? Have we talked to any, are there other municipalities that use it? I mean, I'm concerned that we're gonna end up paying another $4,000 to transfer, which I get it, it's a transfer, but you know, it's a startup, but
There was 3 of us, Michelle, Roger, and I, have had multiple meetings with their representative.
Okay.
And we have literally walked through this program from start to finish, and we have another one scheduled to show us some additional things that we've asked for more information on.
okay.
So, it's very impressive.
You're all confident that this will be much better than what we have now?
It's very impressive.
We can tell just by, just
Okay.
what they walked us through, it's much better.
Right now, when Michelle's in the field, if she takes a picture on the iPad of a violation, she has to email that photo to me. I have to take it off of my email, put it into a folder, and then have to attach it to the current software program as a document, okay? This program here, they've walked us through the entire thing, that she can take the picture on the iPad and it goes
Right to
right
the-
into
Yeah.
the violation.
Okay,
I mean, it will spit out the letters. As it is now, we have to tell it what codes to put in the letters, whereas, you know, once she.
programs in the
Yes,
codes and
it's all programmed in, and the software is, again, it's pretty impressive. It was what we were hoping Munologic would do when we were promised that it was gonna do that, and every time we ask them when we're gonna get that, they tell us that it's gonna cost us more money. So, you know, we're still at the same rate we were when we started back in 2018, well, with, you know, some escalation in price, but, this group came in and said, yeah, we're moving a lot of people from your software to our software for this reason.
And this isn't gonna be anything additional. We know what we're getting up front, and that's what you
Yes.
need.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, they said they have a completely different business model than most of these software people.
Okay.
The
Bill,
other-
have you heard of it? No?
Well, so you currently have
Unilogic,
Unilogic. What are you switching to?
cloud.
Cloud.
Cloud permit. I mean, it's standard procedure, software we use at work. If you want this, it costs you more. If you
Right,
want this,
right.
it costs you more. I get
Right.
that,
Oh,
so.
so is this 4,000 just the one time? Every year, do we have
No,
to
no,
pay a
it's a
different
one-time
fee?
expense, no,
And is this a contract for
Yeah.
how long?
Thank you, that's my next,
For how long?
3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
And then once
Which is
that's
the same
up,
as what we have.
right,
Okay.
and then once that's up, then we'll have to do what else, okay?
Yeah, there's provisions in there that you can terminate it at any time, you just have to
Give
give
them
them
notice.
written notice.
Right.
So the
And
biggest.
so much time.
Yeah, so the biggest thing then, it would be that this new software would allow Michelle, right, to use that time where she would have done an extra more steps to maybe do some, some other things, correct? It's
Well,
feed
it's
through
not
her.
just Michelle, too.
It's-
When Michelle goes out in the field and she finds a violation, if she leaves a grass and weeds ticket on the door, okay? As it is now with this cloud permit system, that when she puts it into the system, she does it right on the iPad out in the field, okay? So we've had cases where people have received their $100 ticket, and before Michelle even comes back into the office from doing all her notices or her inspections, people were at the counter complaining. They want to see the pictures. As it is now, we can't show them that because we don't have those pictures.
So she can upload them instantly, you'll be able
The
to access
office
them
will be
here.
able to print them out immediately and say, here's your violation.
So let me ask you this, do the tickets still have to be printed out here and then taken back to the, whatever address?
No, she puts a ticket right on the door while she's out
Okay,
there.
so she does a handwritten
Yeah,
ticket?
she
Okay.
has it looks like a parking ticket, only green.
Okay,
Yeah, so she has a little ticket book that
Okay.
she writes, and puts it on the door, and then when they get it, they come in here to complain immediately, and she's not back in yet.
So, then my other thing is, I'm not familiar with this software, but I use Workday at work, and I use that software like every single day, like from the moment I wake up to the moment I'm done. So like, is this the similar thing that she uses software every single day?
Every single
From like
day.
8 AM to 5 PM?
This cloud permit software will allow us to do all of our rental registrations right now, which we can't do on anything other than Excel.
Okay.
Okay, the Immunologic will not let us do any rental registrations. It will allow us to establish an interface with our website so that people who have rental properties can actually go on there and fill out the rental application and pay for it with a credit card. We don't have to do the mailing, we would still do a mailing, at least to remind them that they need to do it. But, once they get that, they can go right online, they can enter it, and they can pay for it immediately, okay? It's going to allow her to do permits. It's going to allow her to do code violations. And with the one module that we're looking at for the same price of the Immunologic, it's also going to allow Roger, if he needs to run all the planning commission information through it. We don't get a lot of plans, we don't have a lot that comes through there, but it's an option that is available to us. It will track the time factors that are involved with planning commission, it'll do all of that.
And then my other question is, you said 3-year contract, is there any way we could do a longer contract so we could lower the percentage? Of how much the bill might cost, like if we do a 10-year contract or a 5-year contract? Because the sound of it sounds great, so then could we do a longer contract then, so we could lower the percentage?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
They're not gonna do that.
most of them won't, because, especially right now, only because of,
Just got beat up.
yeah, everybody's looking at increasing everything, so 3 years is actually pretty good right about now.
Yeah, that's about the longest that we've found.
I think my work does 5, but okay.
Yeah.
Did they mention if any municipalities locally around here have them?
We didn't really.
Didn't really ask that
Ask
question.
that.
I'm just wondering if they mentioned if they serve any.
Yeah,
Anybody
that
locally.
might be nice to know, that's why I said about reviews, because Unilogic sounded like it was gonna be great too, and
Well, it was amazing that Immunologic, when they did their presentation, they did their presentation based off of, and hindsight is 20/20 for them. They did their presentation based off of what they know we wanted the software to do. And, they've never met that. They've never met that requirement that we established at the very beginning. Now, you know, they want to upgrade us. There's an upgrade that they have to go through, that we have to go through with the Munologic. It's not going to provide any additional usability of the program.
So has anybody pulled the agreement out originally? I mean, is there any recourse we have
No.
with them?
We've already been through 3
Okay.
years, so, you know, we're on our second contract. The best thing for us was to look for new software to allow us to move into something that's more current.
The other component to this is it has a lot better reporting ability.
Yeah.
So you're gonna see a report kind of like the police gives you, like there was 2 assaults, 2 burglaries, 2, you know, like Andy
Now
gives
you'll
you.
see 3 grass.
Instead of just having
weeds.
100 open permits and so many closed permits, you'll see those numbers.
And then this 4,000 is coming from the Borough Treasury, so that's money that we have that wouldn't affect the taxpayers, I'm guessing.
Well, it's
Yeah.
4,000 we won't have
Yeah, we
for
had-
something else, but
We had,
I know,
we had
yeah.
a whole year's
Yeah.
salary
Just
budgeted
questions,
for the
but-
second assistant zoning and code officer that we haven't used because we don't have any place for him to work yet, so that money's sitting there available.
that?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All those
And
in
I
favor?
pray it's just as good as.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Thanks, Ian.
Yeah.
You would know?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Borough managers report.
Okay, I emailed you the official traffic study from Ritu for Cherry and Railroad Street, and I gave you a hard copy of just the report. If anybody wants the 100-page traffic data count, I'm more than happy to.
That was,
pay
that was,
No.
that was really miserable.
It was painful.
I didn't think anybody would want that, so. So basically, the study's telling you that we met 1 or 2 warrants for, to a signal to be installed there, with the caveat that they'd have to figure out how to get it to coordinate with this signal at the square. So, yeah.
So, it says crash history confirms the intersection has experienced safety issues and the installation of a traffic signal may not be the corrective action needed. And then they say it doesn't warrant turning lanes, which I'm surprised. And then it says, based on the detailed analysis as documented herein, a traffic signal is warranted at the intersection. I'm like, well, this is why I love reading these things. So,
If you could just get clarification for me on what I asked you before the meeting, why they were looking all the way up at Gravel Hill where it's 40 miles per hour when we were looking at Railroad and Cherry area.
I'll find that out.
Yeah.
They may need to do that, they may have to.
I'm
look
just
at
curious
the-
why.
I don't know. Yeah, I'll find out.
Because, but then they only look south through Cherry Street, so if they only looked that far south, but went the whole way up north, unless it's 40 miles per hour somewhere in between Railroad and, or Cherry and Spruce.
not.
No.
Oh, I'm being
Yeah.
facetious, because I know it's
Right.
not. So I'm just curious why they went that far up north, when they only went to Cherry Street south.
Who would also give us a budgetary estimate on this?
Well, and I think the first thing before we go even to that is to figure out, I mean, somebody contacting county MPO so we can see if it can be signaled with those god-awful lights on Railroad Street or on 422?
Yeah, they'd have to.
I mean, that's the first question I think we need to have asked. Because what's the point of putting a signal there if it's just gonna create issues with the one at Main and Railroad.
Back of the napkin estimate, Mike Mouse did, right around 400,000.
Oh, man, let's get a couple. Okay.
For a traffic light.
Yeah, they've basically doubled in price since the whole world blew up.
Well, everything else
It's
did too.
Should have kept the one at Grant, we could have just moved it.
Probably the mast arms wouldn't have worked. And that's, the major cost is the metal mast arms, because the street is so wide.
long.
They have to be that much, and they're not standard size,
Have we
so,
seen any change in the intersection since the,
yeah.
We haven't been rolling cars down on Forge.
yeah, well,
I haven't
I
had
know
any
that
cars in the
now.
yard.
But since the changes were done at Cherry and Railroad, it's calmed down a little bit? Okay.
Yeah, since we moved the stop signs in, made them bigger, and put the delineators out, it's made a difference.
Good. Safety first, but, yeah. Yeah, so I think somebody needs to, we need to find out from the county if they can be synced.
Okay, I don't know if they went that deep into it or not. I suspect not, but I'll find out.
Okay. Well, no, because it even says here, it would need to be incorporated into the system. So, I'm assuming that they didn't see if that's,
Yes, that's my
Possible.
take.
and just so you know, I wouldn't be the one calling the county, because you know how I feel about those damn signals. Sorry.
This microphone.
No, I swore. That's absolutely crazy.
Anything else, Roger?
No, I think that's it.
All right, no communications, any other business? Chief? Mayor? Mayor? Got anything?
I guess I could bring it up now. I want everyone in this room tonight, when you leave here, drive over to Chestnut Street, drive around Shoe Factory Apartments, and look how beautiful it is. They put the lighting up, they put signs up, they put flowers around the building, and I'm sure they're not done, but it is beautiful. Did you see it?
Yeah, you know, it's definitely a nice change.
And the reason I'm saying at night, kind of the lights. But I think whoever did it did a tremendous job.
I would assume the owners did it?
Landscaper.
Isn't he, no, I can't imagine.
I forget who it was, I saw him now.
Sorry.
Okay,
Look,
Bill?
good. I mean, it's a beautiful building, so it's
really
nice,
pretty
yeah.
now, because all the lights are highlighted, I mean, all the signs are highlighted.
A friend of mine from California moved to Hershey, just posted on her Facebook page today about how beautiful that building is.
Yeah.
And that's just a coincidence.
Bill, you, anything else, Don?
I can't remember what it was, so, old age.
Okay, Anthony? Okay. All right, public comment period number 2. Please state your name and address for the record and try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. Just a reminder to please go to the podium to speak. Anybody? Anybody? Whoever wants to step up first.
John Doe. John Doe from Maple Street.
John Doe?
Joe from Maple Street. No, I'm sorry, I need your name for the record.
Legally?
Yeah. Yes, it's a public meeting.
Yeah.
Chris.
Your address?
612 East Maple Street.
I'm sorry,
612 East Maple Street.
6,
12
612.
East Maple.
thank you. And your name is?
McElwee. MCELWEE.
Thank you very much.
You got everything?
I got everything. Yeah,
Perfect.
you're up.
All right, awesome. So sidewalk in front of your house is your to maintain, correct? So at the park that you guys were just referencing, Memorial Park, who maintains that sidewalk?
Memorial Park?
We do.
Okay, well, dilapidated utility company sank a second pole next to the first power pole. Saw cut out the area, big depression, walking my dogs, rolled my ankle, so somebody else is gonna do that.
So I'm sorry, this is that Memorial Park?
Yes.
Okay.
Spruce or Chestnut?
I just stepped into that
The top way.
myself.
The top way, at the pergola, when you go down the trail.
The new utility
On
pole they
Spruce.
put in,
Spruce.
Spruce.
they cut a big square and they didn't fill it in, it's just open.
So the utility company replaced a pole.
About
Okay.
6 months ago, maybe,
2-3 inches, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I was down there with my dogs and something got their attention and I stepped into the hole because they went this way.
That's a
Yeah.
med ed call.
That's one of the things I wanted to tell you about, never wrote it down.
Ah, okay, so we can contact med ed and tell them to get on it. Okay,
Or if you just chuck a couple stones in there for now, like 2B or whatever.
yeah, that, I mean,
Backfill
it
it
would
up
be,
at
a-
least.
can Scott or somebody just run by and see if there's anything
They
you
can
can
throw it on
do?
the back of the truck when
I'll
they're
let-
doing the garbage cans. It's only a small hole, but it's squared off the whole deal. I'm not sure we didn't do that with the sidewalk. Did we put the sidewalk in?
We did the sidewalk.
yeah.
That might have been when that happened because they weren't done with that other pole. I think they took the second one out, didn't they?
They cut it out after their guys did the sidewalk, then the utility company come and cut it out.
Oh, okay.
They
There you go.
had it done.
So they did do it.
Yeah, I thought so.
They were good, they were the ones that screwed up.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Okay. Maybe I'll just talk to some of you guys offline.
Okay.
There's a lot.
I love that.
So how do we fix the road on Maple Street?
What area of Maple Street?
300, 400 blocks right in front of Jeff's house. I mean, in the news, someone would draw a phallic symbol in it with inverted spray paint. Person would obviously get it accomplished and they'd patch it, but I'm not going to draw anything on the road. I say this because I'm a
sorry, I just
cyclist.
don't believe
Graffiti.
people.
No, ma'am,
A little
ma'am,
more
ma'am,
than
ma'am,
graffiti.
ma'am, May I? Just disregard completely what I said. You're missing the point.
What's wrong with the road?
I'm a cyclist and I'm gonna. It's a shitty road. Sorry. It's a bad road. A big hole needs filled in.
On Maple Street.
Is it just a pothole, or is it a utility trench that hasn't been restored properly, or?
The lion's share of it is a hole with a depression, but it's, yeah, cracking and crumbling around. That's right.
Okay.
It's more than just that.
Expanding pothole.
It's all of East Maple. And if you actually encourage you guys to get out of your cars and go for a bike ride. And I'll leave it at that. So, Christopher McAwee, 612 East Maple Street.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. McElwee? You're welcome to bring that to us in the office, too. You know, I mean, I encourage everybody to come to the council meetings, but if that's something that needs to be addressed immediately, by all means, feel free to come into our office and we'll address it, so.
All right. Anybody else for public comment? Yes.
Todd Gutschall, 511 East Cherry. Since we're getting this new program, are we gonna at least look at the budget next year and maybe not put a second code enforcement officer on? I'd much rather have more police officers. I really think I want to spend my tax money on that instead. Just checking. Heritage Park is used a lot. You know, I don't know if we need a whole new basketball court. Patching it is good so people don't get hurt. And I hope we have liability signs up anyways, because if you do fall, I hate to see a big lawsuit come against the borough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment? No? Okay. Yes?
Christopher McAwee, 612 East Maple Street. So if I may, how can you be selectively enforcing your rules for the code enforcement officer? Because I'm one of the persons that have received one of those tickets, and I was like, all right, cool, I will manage that grass. But if I can point to that location or that location or that location where I've got dogs and they're, what's the rule say? Up down here, everybody's got the mailer, big old 8 feet by 5 feet. There's numerous spots where you guys, well, not you guys, but people have had stuff wrong longer than I have.
Are you talking about the overhangs?
Usually it's,
Trees.
it's
Trees.
driven by
It's usually
complaint.
Yeah,
complaint
it's
driven.
complaint driven.
It's complaint
So,
driven. So
I
somebody
mean,
has to call.
yeah, it's not,
You can't even walk to the post office from here,
yeah,
to Abreast,
yeah. It's,
on the right-hand side especially.
a lot of it is complaint driven because she does, I can't believe I'm gonna say this because I'm so against a second code enforcement officer, but she's a busy woman. I mean, so a lot of what she deals with is complaint driven by residents. So, unless she specifically or somebody here sees something.
I think when she first started, correct me if I'm wrong, she would drive out around
She still does.
Borough,
She does.
but she doesn't have as much time to do it like she
Right.
used to.
That's correct.
So she doesn't notice as much
So we rely-
on her own like she used to.
And they may be getting fines or warnings, but they're ignoring them if they haven't done anything. And that's another issue, if they get fined and don't pay it,
Then we end up in court.
yes, and then that costs the taxpayer more money yet, but it has to be done. And you're just one of those persons that complies when they're told that they are out of compliance, evidently.
Yeah, she was just out 2 weeks ago, and she was out for a day and a half. Was it about a day and a half?
Yeah, well, yeah.
And she generated so much work, she's just finally being able to finish up those letters. And she's also the zoning officer, so any zoning application, people will want a shed or a pool or, you know, that comes into her too. She has to do all of that, and you would be amazed at how many people want sheds and that kind of stuff, so.
So would the $4,000 program make her potentially better and faster and reduce the need for a second code enforcement officer?
Quite possibly.
No, your community still requires a second codes officer. Your council decided that.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? No? Okay. All right, closing public comment period number 2. Borough Council will conduct its next public meetings on Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023, and Tuesday, September 12th, 2023, beginning at 7 p.m. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Adjourn.
That was a long one.
2043.